There are times when God gives grace for ignorance, because there are simply some things we just don't know. But it is totally different when we allow our spiritual reasoning to become subject to our fleshly desires. Hello, everybody. My name is Andrew Crawley. And before I get started, I'd like to thank each and every one of you all who have taken the time to view our first couple of videos. One was entitled Religion versus Relationship. The next was entitled The Spiritual Pink Slip. And I'd like to encourage you, if you all haven't had the time yet to go and check them out, please do so. They have been a blessing to various people in a number of different ways. So now, what brings us here today? The subject topic that we're going to be discussing is Satan's specialty. You know, there's so many times in life where we fail to realize that we need to know our opponent. You know, when you look at those old movies that deal with fighting in battle, we find that it's very strategic to know your opponent. So it is the same way with the enemy Satan. We need to know how he thinks, what he does. And so today we're going to talk about one of his most strategic and successful weapons of warfare. And so before I go on any further, I would like to first read a couple passages of scriptures for you. The first coming from Ezekiel, the 28th chapter and the 13th and 14th verse. And it reads, "Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering. The sardius, topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold, the workmanship of thy tabrets, and thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire." And the second verse is Isaiah, the 14th chapter and the 11th verse, and it reads, "Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy viols, and the noise of thy viols." And so when you look at these passages of scriptures, we all know that, first of all, God is a supreme orchestrator. We know that if anyone can delegate, if anyone can put in place, can set in place people according to their giftings and their talents, it's God. And I know that we would all agree. Being that this is the case, let's look at where he placed Lucifer, the enemy, while, of course, he was in heaven. You know, there was a wide range of things that God could have appointed him to do. There's many areas where God could have placed him in. But as he looked upon Satan, he saw the thing that he can do very well, the thing that he does best, the thing that he can do the best for the heavenlies. And that thing was music. He put him with the worship. So given this information, we must ask ourselves, what effects did this have in the earth realm, being that he was a part of the music in heaven and that was his giftings there? You know, because when we look at Satan, we know that he was in heaven, but he got kicked out. And so what effects did that have on the earth realm, on our way of living as it stands today? You know, because when we look at him, of course, he was created kind of differently from other beings. He was created with musical instruments as being parts of his body. And so when we look at that, let's not be naive for 1 second. Because do we really think that if Satan had all this gifting and his best thing, the thing that he did the most in heaven was music, do we think that he would neglect and just totally ignore his specialty down here? Now, we know that in the earth realm, Satan became a lot of things. He became a liar. He became a thief. He became a murderer. He became an accuser of the brethren. But guess what? He never became a musician. Why? Because he was created a musician. It's just like me, for example. I didn't become a male. I was created a male. I was born a male. So there wasn't a process of becoming a male. That's just what I am. That's just what I was created to be. That's what I was born to be. The same for Satan. So now when we look at the earth realm, let's look at the effects that music have in the earth. I found it very interesting to discover that secular people have said that music is one of the only things that can affect both sides of the brain at the same time. Very powerful. I also found it very interesting that when you look, some secular documentaries have even let us know that when you look at music and the course of American history, music helped usher in and sustain some illegal movements. It helped usher in, and sustain some movements of certain different types of drugs that were used during certain times, and certain waves of gang-related activities and certain other crimes and illegal things. It was sustained through music. Also, I think it's very powerful to know that when you look at music, it breaks across racial barriers, social barriers, cultural barriers. And it's very sad to say that it also has broken across religious barriers. We as saints have allowed it to penetrate our borders. I mean, look at it. Look at the Sunday morning worship experience. When you look at it, you'll find that the biggest part of church that allows secular or unsaved people to be a part of is dealing with the music department. When you look at the musicians, it's nothing for musicians to play in the club on Friday and Saturday nights and then come and play for the church on Sunday. All because they have some talent. And my question to you would be, if we don't have to allow our musicians to be saved, how can they prophesy with the music? Because we do know, the Bible lets us know that you can prophesy with musical instruments. But how can it be done through an unsaved person out of the right spirit? This is why it is very, very, very important. Pastors, preachers, teachers, Christian leaders, please don't allow unsaved people to play in God's worship, in God's praise on Sunday mornings. Look, it'll be better for you to not have any musicians at all than to have unsaved ones. Now, I know that may be unsatisfactory to the people. But after all, we're supposed to be going there, not for us, but for him. So we must keep that in mind. I beg of you, go without it before you bring the wrong ones, because it does have a spiritual impact on your services. And we wonder why we don't see the miraculous played on a consistent basis. We don't see the weighted glory of God during the Sunday morning worship service like we should see. Also when you look at the musical department during the Sunday morning worship service, you'll find that if you have homosexual members, more than likely you'll find them in the choir or either directing the choir. It is sad, but it is true. Satan's always seemed to be around the music, the worship. Not only that, but when you look at the lives of Christians, when you go to a quote-unquote Christian wedding, look at the music that is being played during the reception that we dance to. Look at the music that we play during our social events. Satan is so cunning through music. He is so deceitful that he allowed us to ignore blatant sin when it comes to music. Christians dancing to something like the wobble. We have no business doing that at all, and it needs to stop. Have anybody ever taken the time to research those lyrics? Go Google it. They're not saying anything godly and a whole lot of sinful things. Do you think that's pleasing to the Most High God? Absolutely not. You know, when you look at it, I remember on one occasion, because I've been speaking and I've been teaching on the music subject for quite some time now. I've taught it at a seminar or two. I spoke on it in some conferences. And I remember on one specific occasion, I asked the people, I said, you know, I took a popular song or a couple of popular songs. I said, you know, is anything wrong with the song? Is there any profanity or anything used in the song? They told me no. And they were very adamant about it. The sad thing about it is when I sit there and read the lyrics to them, they found and realized that it had a whole lot of bad things, a lot of perverse things, a lot of profanity, a lot of God's name being used in vain. But you know what? Music is so deceitful, it can allow us to ignore blatant sins. You know, there's some things in music today that I don't even have time to get into. You know, when you're dealing with the Illuminati and different things of that nature, you know, there's certain blatant messages. You know, people are outright, they're not even hiding it anymore. You know, they're saying things against the church. They're saying things against Jesus. And guess what? All the Christian people just eat it up. You know why? Because we say things like, it's just music. And I'm going to tell you, anybody who says it's just music, Satan himself has you right where he wants you in that area. Why? Because there's one thing that we need to make sure that we realize. It's understanding our enemy and how he works. Satan's deceit is strengthened in undetection. Listen, Satan loves it when people say things like, it's just music. He loves it when people doubt or neglect the fact that demons are real. You know, he loves it. He loves the fact that Christians are so scared. They're so afraid of demons. And we're so afraid of demons that we don't even like to say that they exist. We don't even acknowledge their presence. And because of this, sometimes we really and actually accept the demons into our lives. You know, Satan also loves it when especially Christians say things like, you know, I'm not affected by the music that I listen to or watch or the music videos that I watch. You know, people who say things like this are really naive to the fact that Satan is very crafty when it comes to the art of misdirection. You see, when it comes to the art of misdirection, Satan is the best at it. Why? Because though you may not go out and shoot anybody when you see someone shoot somebody in a music video or you hear about it in some lyrics, but you may have a hidden hatred for those in authority. You know, I find that most people who watch or who listen to certain types of music or the wrong types of music, you know, they struggle with knowing who God really is. They struggle with spiritual identity. They don't know if they want to be saved one minute to the next. Or you may also find these type of people who struggle with worshiping God. Or 9 times out of 10, you may find that these people struggle with secret sins, whether it be sexual sins, you know, masturbation. They struggle with being in and out of the clubs. They struggle with having, you know, multiple sex partners or what have you. All of these are a result or can be strengthened through listening to the wrong types of music. You know, one thing that we need to realize is that sin not only creates an appetite for more fleshly sin, but sin itself has an appetite. And the thing that helps sustain it, or one of the major things that can help sustain it, is listening to sin and watching sin. You know, also doing a seminar that I've taught in years past, you know, I just simply opened it up. I just asked everyone who was in attendance, I said, you know, what are some of the things when you listen to some types of secular music, what are some of the things that you see in music videos or that you hear musical lyrics? And I have you to know that when I asked that question, plenty of people raised their hand. And 100% of the answers were found in one of the categories given in 1 John chapter 2, verse 15 through 17. You know, it reads, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh," that's number one. The second thing is the lust of the eyes, number two. And thirdly, the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. You know, one of the reasons why I'm so adamant about the Christians and secular music message is because I was bound by the wrong types of music for so long. But thanks be to Jesus Christ, I experienced deliverance. But during those times when I was bound, I didn't quite understand why I was always going back to certain sins that I thought I had dealt with. It was simply because the sin nature on the inside of me was being reinforced by things that I allowed into my eye gate as well as my ear gate. But one of the things why, when Jesus delivered, one of the reasons why I was able to maintain that deliverance was simply because I not only created a void in my life by separating myself from the wrong music, but I fill that same void by finding music that I love to listen to. You see, my brothers and sisters, it is very, very, very vital that we understand that all empty voids will be filled with something, whether it be good or bad. It's just only a matter of time. And so, my brothers and sisters, when you separate from someone or something in your life, replace that same void with something pure. Because I'm going to tell you, if you don't, it's only a matter of time where the bad thing will come back and fill that void. Now, in light of Satan, we know there's a lot of things that he do very well in the earth realm. He's very good at getting people to cheat on their taxes. He's very good at getting people to fornicate, to cheat on their spouses. He's very good at getting people to have abortions. He's very, very good at getting people to lie. As a matter of fact, he is the father of lies. He is the epitome of liars. And that is saying a whole lot. But my brothers and my sisters, more than all of that, better than all of that, he is a musician. Why? It is simply because music is not something that he does. Music is who he is. I thank you for allowing me to spend this time with you today. I pray that this has blessed you. And feel free to share it with someone else. God bless you, and we will see you the next time.